Hi, this is Gracie from Gracie Investigates. Thank you for joining me this evening. I want to start out with a story. So, back when I was in high school, I remember walking down the hall and thinking to myself that I don't know what class I just came out of, but I was able to think ahead and look ahead, and I thought this this scheme is not going to keep up forever because back even my generation, I could see how each time they raised taxes, each time they made a change on something, it costs the lower class more. And I thought, well, there's going to be a time when the lower class is not going to have anything more to give. And then the middle class would fall because then they too would be feeling the squeeze. And I think we've kind of reached that point. And I think what's happened is as it's all kind of worked together in tandem as far as after 2001 and what happened at the World Trade Center, them taking our rights through like the Patriot Act, which, in my opinion, there's nothing patriot about it, not for the United States people. And it was a power play to take the rights away from people. Each time they take the rights away, they always enact other taxes, they throw in other loopholes, so the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's not just a statement, that's really a fact. And I could see that my parents had trouble keeping up with everything. And I thought, well, my generation, I'm going to have to work my butt off to get anywhere, and could I really get anywhere and keep up? And I went to college and I was able to keep up, but I think the young people today, there's kind of no chance for them to keep up because I think they can see that they because everything's going up and there's really no chance of them ever owning a home. The only people who really can afford to buy homes these days are people who are well established, or if they're, trust fund individuals, or if they happen to be doctors or a successful attorney. The average American homes are priced out of their range. And I think the young people realize that, and they know that they're going to have to live at home, and we've kind of just come to the end. There's really nowhere else to go but down at this point. We've been spiraling down for the last 50 years, but we've come to finally the end of the spiral because there's really nowhere else to go. Most of the rights have been taken away, and it's just kind of reached that point. So, I'm going to talk about some of these stories. So, Newsom raised the minimum wage in California. Everyone knows that. California workers are now demanding a minimum wage increase to $30 an hour. Now, the thing about this is, even if they got this, it's not going to work. In order for the system to work, most people have to be poor because somebody's got to do the what I would call quote unquote slave labor, where you work your butt off and you get paid almost minimum wage, maybe a little bit above. Say you get paid double minimum wage. That's still nothing in today's society. And that's what most people make. Now, I realize that doctors and attorneys, they go to school for all this, and I don't think it's fair how much it costs to go to school. I will say that. But this wage increase, say they got a $30 an hour wage increase. Well, guess what? More employers are going to close, which is ultimately what the government wants. The people don't want that, and the people, they don't understand that that's what's going to happen. So stores are going to fail because employers cannot afford to pay this, and they see it as, oh, this is a win for us because then we'll be able to afford things. But that's just not true because, number one, places are going to close like they're doing now. But number two, the price of everything else will go up. in as much as they are making, it's going to increase. This is basically the United States is running a big fat Ponzi scheme. That's really what this is. And this has just been allowed to carry on and carry on. And they've kicked the can and kicked the can. It's kind of like they're kicking the can up against a brick wall. There's not much place else for it to go. But people can no longer afford to live. $20 an hour is a joke. Even in the Midwest, it's a joke. I can't imagine in California, but I know McDonald's workers in my area make $15 an hour or more. Um, and that's a joke. No one can afford to live on that. Um, and how much really should people make if they don't have an education? But then how much should people make if they have that bachelor's degree? And what if they happen to get a bachelor's degree that is not a high paying job bachelor's degree? What if they happen to get a master's degree and they want to do social work, which is a very important field, but doesn't pay a lot? But that yet they're saddled with all those student loans. But yet that's a critical job because children need to be protected. It's like social workers that step in and do that kind of thing. I don't know the ins and outs of exactly what a social worker does. I just wanted to use that as an example that these jobs are necessary and people need, no matter who you are, you have basic needs like food, shelter, clothing, and that people just cannot afford those things on these salaries anymore, and that's why you see multiple generations of families having to live together and help one another because no one can afford the American dream. The American dream is dead. And our government, this is what our government wants. This is not a surprise to them. They're getting exactly what they want. And Newsom is just pushing it along a little further, a little quicker, trying to get the ball rolling, get more things to close, more stores to close, all kinds of stores. So 3 Philly coffee shops forced to close after unionization attempts fail in staggering costs. So they ran this business out in Philadelphia. This is happening all over the country. And this is part of why we will, in fact, have no stores. We will eventually have no gas stations. We will have no convenience stores. It is going to get quite bad. And I think that would be what we call perilous times, along those lines. Now, this is just my opinion, but it's kind of important that people sit up and take notice of this. And what I would do if I was someone who had no education and had to work a lower paying job. What I personally would do if I was in my 20s, which I did do this for a while before I went to college, I worked in a factory and I did factory work because they generally pay a little better. And then if I needed, and I was usually tired after 5 or 6 days. So if they do mandatory overtime, but if they're not mandating overtime, what someone could do to help themselves is get a second job. It's unfortunate that's where we are, but that is in fact where we are. So it's just kind of that's just where we are. It's unfortunate that this generation is finding themselves in that situation. So the next is like FedEx cutting up to 2,000 back office jobs. This is in Europe amid weak freight demand. And that's because people are buying less, because people have less money, less disposable income. And it's not even just disposable income, people just don't have enough income, period, to pay even bills a lot of times. And everything's going to fall like dominoes because of this Ponzi scheme. They've ran it into the ground. They're taxing us to death. They not only tax us on our paychecks, which I think is bad enough, but then they tax everything we do and buy. And in my opinion, we've already paid tax on our money that we've earned. We should not have to pay any other taxes. That is my personal opinion. That's how I've always felt on that. I think the government should be good stewards of money, and they have been anything but good stewards of money. Now, the next article, people are staying home. Michigan restaurant industry struggles. That's because people don't have any money, and you've got this is a Democratic run state, and the Democratic run states are going to be a little quicker to fall, just because of the politics there and how they're ran. So it's not going to be good for the blue states, especially quickly. I don't know what that is, but this is okay. This is the initial claims surge to 10 months high as California joblessness soars. These numbers are made up. These numbers, they're up here. These numbers are up, way up. These are lies, and that's they always revise the job numbers, and you cannot trust these people. These people will tell you, the mainstream media is paid to tell you what the talking mouthpieces, elite, want you to know. Otherwise, you don't know it. They don't tell you stuff. Look at all these store closures. They surge in Massachusetts. It's happening all over the country. And I haven't seen anything about Nordstrom closing yet, but the Family Dollar, Rue 21, 99-cent stores, CVS Health, 7-Eleven, Rite Aid, Express, Walgreens Boots Alliance, Macy's, The Body Shop, Soft Surroundings, Sam Ash Music, Sleep Number, Burlington Stores, Foot Locker, Foxtrot, Dom's, Kitchen and Market, Carter's, Abercrombie and Fitch, Outdoor Voices, Signet Jewelers, Big Lots, Ashley, Dollar General, H&M, Allbirds, American Freight, Best Buy, Mainline Pharmacy, Alimentation Couche-Tard, I don't know how to say that, Ross Stores, many, many more. Smaller ones not listed, mom and pops, stuff like that. And they're running them out on purpose. And then you've got icons like JCPenney that have been, these stores have been open for years, decades, and they're closing. People can no longer afford to shop at these places. And people have mostly started shopping online, which is not helpful for these stores. But that was all in tandem with what happened in 2019, 2020. They wanted to get people used to shopping online so that they could enact their plan, which is to destroy the shopping period. There will be no stores for you to go to eventually. There will be nothing. So enjoy going to the malls now while you can. Enjoy going out to eat while you can, because there will eventually be no restaurants. The government will eventually have full control of everything. That is what they are currently working on. Another Northern Kentucky warehouse to lay off 148 workers. And, someone made a comment down here. There was a comment. They're not closing. They've been paid by our sellout government to lay off U.S. citizens and hire foreigners. That doesn't surprise me. I don't find that surprising at all. And here you go. Goldie Hawn says LA is terrible after becoming victim to multiple home break-ins in 4-month span. Hollywood is no longer relevant. The stars are going to be just like us. The celebrities, they're going to lose that celebrity status. And they're going to become just the regular commoners. They're not the elite. There might be one or two that are with the elite, but most of them, for the most part, are not. And then Chinese police stations in the United States, designing an effective response, like they're trying to stop this. They're not trying to stop this. There are Chinese police stations in our country. This should not be allowed, and it's not okay. And it's very scary, in fact, but that's where we are. So we have high unemployment, increasing store closings all over the country, and that includes restaurants, mom and pops, big ones, small ones, you name it. California governor helping the failing economy along to shutter stores all over the state by raising minimum wage. Hollywood's no longer relevant. Once more stars are gone, we will be forced onto the once more stores are gone, we will be forced onto the CBDC, which is the central bank digital currency, and that will be the beginning of total control of people, which is what they want, which ties along with the Chinese police stations. Um, they will also, like I said, the stars will be under total control. The stars over the years, Hollywood has been a distraction, an intentional distraction for this entire time, while the elite were busy setting up their plans to destroy us and our way of life. They used Hollywood as a way to appease us, quote unquote, useless eaters. And now that setup has been completed, and Hollywood will fall with all the other stores and theaters. We are in for some rough times. Someone asked my opinion on the election, and of course, it's just my opinion. I do not have a crystal ball. You know, but I think our country is in shambles with all the foreigners being allowed in. We are in trouble. We have a shill in the White House now. This is O's third term, in my opinion. This has the flavor of that because this person hates America, and only someone who hates America would allow her to be invaded and put American citizens in jeopardy and allow Chinese police stations in. I have always called Biden Beijing Biden because he's a sellout to China, in my opinion. I am not sure if there will be an election or if they will find a way to stop it, whether that is through what they did 4 years ago when they called another, I call it a pandemic, and didn't want people really to see the vote. And I couldn't believe when they stopped the vote at like what 10:30 at night, and it's like, oh well, we're not gonna finish this tonight, we'll do it tomorrow. When in the history of ever has that ever happened? You go until they're all counted. Well, that was a little red flag. But anyway, I think we're kind of way past those kinds of red flags now. When they've got open borders and you see Chinese police stations popping up in the United States, that's a problem. They should not be here. And the fact that our representatives on both sides are allowing this to happen, I had a lot of respect for some of the Republicans. I don't anymore because of what they're allowing to happen. They're not stopping this. They're not standing up and saying, "Hey, this is not good." But are they sold out too? Probably. They want to get in and stay in for a lifetime. They're just concerned about themselves. They don't care about the American people. I don't believe either side cares about the American people, truthfully. That's just my opinion. So people will be begging for a universal basic income. I think the young people are already kind of begging for it because no one wants to work for these wages where they know they're not going to be able to own a home or be able to advance themselves or really buy anything, and they're going to have to live with their parents. What happens when their parents pass away? They're not getting married, not having children, so people are going to be alone. More and more people are going to be homeless. It's just bad for everyone. We are really in a bad situation for our country. I think we're going to go through something terrible like what Venezuela went through. And it was literally terrible down there. Will we come out of it on the other side as America? I'm not sure about that. There's other dreams that I'll go into at some point, but I'm not sure because them opening our borders and making us unsafe and unsecure on purpose. When Americans have to get passports and we have to get real IDs, but they'll let any illegal come through, give them money, give them a cell phone, and they let these Chinese police stations pop up in the United States, that is a problem. And the fact that people don't see this, I think I think they don't care anymore because they're dumbing down people with the coughs that they want to give them. It's a way to control people. And there's so much that can go into this, and so much that it's more than what one video can do. There's so much more involved in this, but it is coming. So I would say, if you can, source some food. If you can, buy some silver. And I know that's difficult, but just try to get like the cheap bars, and make sure you have them like in your possession. But then you don't have to own a safe to keep them, to keep them safe if something was to happen. And there's a whole other thing that goes along with that. But as far as what's going to happen, I don't see anything good happening. No matter what happens, I don't know if they'll try to stop the election, but we've got some very corrupt people running our government, and it's very scary. So anyway, that I think I'll leave it there. There's a lot going on. So yeah, that's where I'll leave it. And you guys have a great night. Thank you for joining me. And remember, there are no coincidences. This is Gracie signing off. Thank you very much.